So guys, we're here today with
Desmond Crisis.
Desmond Crisis that we just met here on Nostalgia Alley. Desmond, I'm Rafa. I'm currently running like a YouTube channel about like retro games, and Jason told me that you are like a game developer.
Oh yeah, sure. So back in the early days, back in the 90s, I got pulled into a game company that was ASCII Corp of Japan, had a local thing called ASCIIware, and we built a couple of titles. We built for the SEGA Genesis and the Super Nintendo. And after that, we spun off into that development group then spun off, as they all do, to one called Technopop. And Technopop delivered the title called Zero Tolerance.
Oh geez, really?
So Zero Tolerance was the first behind-the-gun shooter game for the SEGA Genesis. And the other thing most people don't know about Zero Tolerance, everything we did in that development group was some superlative. It was some super fun thing like that no one had ever done before. We built a 3-player game for the SEGA Genesis.
Nice.
You know that expansion port on the back of the Genesis 1 that no one knew what it was for? We wrote a driver for it. You put a gender changer on it, and then you could play this game called Double Clutch, which only released in Europe. But if you plug that in, you could plug a third controller and you have 3-player top-down racing game.
Oh geez, didn't know that was even possible. And don't even know it, but like actually in Brazil, like where I'm from, Genesis is more popular than Nintendo. Like it's sold.
That's because it's better.
Yeah.
The Genesis is great.
That's debatable.
Well, you know, in the industry at the time was very philosophical. So when there weren't really that many consoles, you could kind of decide where these companies were coming from. The Genesis was all about speed, right? And you know, the Sonic games, it's a twitchy, fun, fast game. And then the Nintendo was always the beautiful game, right? Like it had more colors, it had more sounds. We could develop better music for it. It was it was just a deeper experience. And then Nintendo said, okay, but we're going to make games that are safe for grandparents to buy for their grandkids. And then Sega saw the opening and said, okay, well, we're having Mortal Kombat. We're going to rip out your spleen, right? Like if we're going to have your dangling liver, you know. And it worked pretty well for them for the most part. The other thing was Zero Tolerance. It didn't work the same in every country. In most of the world, when you shot it's a first-person shooter, so you shoot the alien, zombie, whatever, in front of a wall, it would put strawberry jam on the wall behind him, and then it would ooze down. We spent so much time on that; it's really beautiful. But what happens is in Germany, they would not have that. They made us change the color to green, and it had to be transmission fluid, and everything was a robot. But, you know, it's just write a couple things in the manual, and it all works out. The other thing about Zero Tolerance that most people don't know about is that it's a multiplayer head-to-head console-to-console game. So that makes it the first ever networked SEGA Genesis game and possibly any console. And what happened was, like we like to write drivers, right? So what we did was we wrote a serial driver for the second player port, and there's a crossover cable you could get that would let you play your console against another console, and you can play cooperative or deathmatch. It's the same game, but you turn it on via a linking cable, and most people don't know about it because
that was available commercially? Like, really didn't know that.
No, it's the way it shipped. What it was is we put a postcard in the game. Accolade published it. And it said, hey, you know, we just don't want to make twice as many of these as we need to make. So send in this postcard, and for free, we'll just send it. No postage, no nothing, we'll just send you the thing. No one did it.
Really?
I don't even know how many of those things
So that item should be super rare right now, like if you can find one, right?
Original one, but the schematics are online at the Technopop website, and check this out. When the rights to Zero Tolerance reverted, they reverted back to the developer. So Randall Reese released the ROM, and it is a legit downloadable Genesis ROM. You can have it.
No, amazing.
Yeah, you can download it and you can have it, and then you can play it, and you can make this cable if you could build if you could build a dev card of it, because you need to run it locally. Although I guess some of the download carts would work. It has to be the Genesis 1. The Genesis 2 and the Nomad, for some reason, the driver doesn't work. So you have to have that set up. But if you go to any of the shows like California Extreme, Portland Retro Gaming Expo, I usually bring a set. And it's so fun to watch people play because they've never seen it this way before.
Amazing. And how was being like a game developer back in the day? Like, because like there's like no gaming developer schools. You have like to basically learn how to code by yourself, and like the hardware was a mystery. Tell us about that.
I'm glad you asked. So the thing about the early days of game development was that there wasn't actually anything to teach you. everything was being invented in front of your eyes. So like I came on right after Randall Reese had written some of the very first emulation code.
Jeez.
He had written some of the, we didn't really have in-circuit emulators, but he figured out that the 68,000 in a Mac SE was the same as a 68,000 in a Genesis.
Oh.
So he wrote dev tools and didn't tell anybody about them.
Because you don't have like a dev box or anything. You have like to emulate your hardware to test it, right?
And all the drivers and everything for those things were being made at the time. Like the Masters didn't come up, that was a really simple thing, but we started having to have a more intricate development. So what happened was by the time I got there, things had just finished being invented, and then there was a lot of room to invent new things, like you know, like these drivers that we wrote for the ports. Everything was, like the lava was still cooling into rocks. And so what was really neat was not only were you picking up on a lot of really genius things that people before you had done, but then there was room for you to really make great innovations.
Amazing, amazing.
The industry was really crazy at the time, though, because we were a third-party developer, and to build anything on Nintendo or Super or Genesis, that was my job, was to show our code at every level to the companies that we wanted to license our stuff, and some of them didn't like what we were doing.
Really?
Zero Tolerance was a behind-the-gun, ray-traced 3D shooter game, but it was made before the 32X pass-through, and it doesn't require it. So everybody wanted Doom. Doom shut my place down for months, right? Like we got nothing done when Doom came out. And so they were saying, oh yeah, you can build a 32X, it's gonna be all this money, we wanna sign you up, we wanna do all this stuff. And then we wrote some code. We had a couple programmers that we found who were about halfway through. We hired them up and they did the 3D machine. So check this out, I remember going to SEGA to show them this at the alpha level. And they said, oh yeah, that's like, we're having the 32X because you can't have an animated bitmap on all four sides of an object that is spinning and scaling. So you know you turn on every SEGA Genesis game and it goes, SEGA, does the wipe. Ours does, SEGA, and the wipe on four sides of a spinning, scaling cube, and they were pissed.
How do you guys roll that? Like, because that should have to be
It's all math.
ingenious. Like,
It's just math. And if you're really, really good at math and coding, and you're really good at writing efficient code, then you just, you know, you figure out it's ray tracing, right? You're going, well, this is the set of pixels that I need to render for this thing, and just scale it down. Now, there was a little bit of a cheat. You know, the viewport's not the whole screen, but it works and it's playable. And the best part about, I haven't played Zero Tolerance for a long time until I started, you know, pulling it out again. It's a dungeon crawler, right? So around every corner is something ready to kill you. So you're timing how much health you've got, you're timing how much ammo you've got, and then you're sneaking around waiting to get killed. and you realize, that's what twitchy good gameplay is. And that's what's important about classic and vintage video games. It's not that they're old, it's that there were some really amazing games in the vintage space. The important thing about collecting vintage games, and the reason that some of us do it, is not just to have games that are old or, you know, almost as old as we are. The reason that you collect vintage games is because there were amazing titles. So over the evolution, and just like Zero Tolerance, right? It's an evolution of innovation. This game, this might have been the first one you could play on your home TV. That's important. Some of the games there are really good. Not every game. I mean, you look, this is a whole place full of, you know, just about every game. There's a reason that some of these are still on the walls. But every console had an amazing game for it, right? And that's why it's so important to preserve the old consoles so that you can play them. Not because it's just old, but because the games on that console are as much fun as anything is made today.
Exactly, totally agree with you. So thanks so much for the interview. Really like a fun surprise to finally meet a game developer. Like,
wait, you've been looking around, you haven't found any?
Sorry.
This is crawling with them.
Like, actually, like, gaming was what got me interested into coding. Like, basically, but I was thinking about, hey, I might apply for EA sometime point in time, and then was like, nope, just went directly like to other fields. So,
you know how many of these carts are from EA? There's a whole bucket. They're under $5. You think I'm kidding? Take a picture before you go.
Definitely.
All the ones with the little yellow notch.
So thank you so much for your time. Definitely gonna send you, Jason, the link for the video once you post it. And I'm sure the guys in Brazil will love it.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.